Hi, this is Steve Garland, head wrestling coach at the University of Virginia, giving my weekly Virginia Wrestling video newsletter. The recap this week is about the ACC Championship. We just got back from the ACC tournament a few days ago, and I wanted to start off with sort of a general overview of what I thought about the team and how the team performed and how the tournament went, and then kind of go bit by bit, individual by individual, to give them their due. So it'll be a little bit longer message this week than usual, but I think it's important. And for those who just saw the results and didn't see the tournament, I wanted to make sure I directly hit you guys, because I'm sure you guys are wondering what happened at the tournament. I'll tell you what, our guys fought like crazy. The overall consensus of my message to our team yesterday and the coach's message to the team yesterday was simply this: is you guys showed a lot of character and a lot of heart. We had an absolutely horrible semifinal round, and so we met as a team right after that round. It's as low as I can remember being at that tournament. I think we were at 17 points at that point, and in 5th place. And in 2 rounds, we put together some of the most courageous 2-round performances that I've ever seen at that tournament in 11 years as head coach. Very reminiscent of the run we put together in 2010. We had all those guys coming back through and taking third. Very reminiscent of what we did in 2015, where we started getting bonus point wins as well to rack on points and jump into 1st place. We didn't jump into 1st, but we climbed all the way from the basement all the way up into 3rd place. We went from 17 points to 52.5 points, like that. It was everybody contributing, one after another, after another, after another. It was just an amazing run, and I'm so proud of our guys for what they did. I'm so proud of the way they came together, because that round wasn't about glory. It wasn't about the team score. It was just about who they wanted to be, how they were going to honor themselves, their parents, this program, how they were going to honor each other with the way they competed. You know, it's about, hey, this is about who we want to be as a program, and what product we want to put out there in the mat, how we want to represent ourselves, and what are we going to say about ourselves? Are we going to fight or not? And our team came back hard, and I was so proud of them. I actually had a good friend of mine, Mike McQuarrie, send me a text recently, and I think he was trying to cheer me up a little bit, but it was kind of cool. He said, "Steve, I'm a stats geek. Here's some of the stats from ACC tournament you might not know. UVA won more individual matches than any other team at the tournament. UVA had 18 wins. Virginia Tech was second with 17. They had the second best. UVA had the second best winning percentage overall. Tech was 17-4, which is obviously very good. UVA was second, 18-14 record overall. Pitt was third with 14-13. Everybody else was either 500 or losing record. And what that shows me is it was a complete team effort. So as a coach, what you want to see is progress, progression, improvement, and you want to see the team caring about each other and performing as a team together, collectively, everybody all in. That's what we saw. What those stats show is that we didn't have the firepower to win the tournament, but our guys, everybody was contributing and everywhere they could, and everybody was fighting hard. And so definitely huge praises coming out of that, and feeling good as a coach. For me, I thought it was the best coaching job that my staff's ever done since I've been here, because I'm just going to say it. If you saw some of those guys at the beginning of the year and what they look like now, it's a completely different wrestler. If you saw Ray Bethea at the Clary Open and then saw Ray Bethea wrestling at the ACC tournament, it's 2 different kids. If you saw Sammy Krivas a month ago to what he looks like now, if you saw Tyler Love the entire season and then what he looked like at that tournament, if you saw Will Shaney in November to what he looks like now, you wouldn't even recognize the guy. So to me, it's like that's what coaching. That's a sign of a great job by the coaching staff, and Coach Ellis, Coach Lean, Coach Mack. I'm just so excited about what happened in that wrestling room, what happened mentally and physically with our guys, because that to me is a sign of things are going well in terms of the culture of the program. Now, that being said, here's the big but. Here's the big catch, and this is what I left my guys with on Monday when I spoke to them. Without question, make no mistake, nobody's happy with 3rd place, 4th place. We're only going to be happy at the tournament with 1st place. The expectation and the goal is absolutely set very high. We want to win that tournament. It wasn't that long ago that we were winning it. We won 2 in 5 years. The last one was in 2015. We need to get back to winning it. And in doing so, because the conference is so tough now, in winning that tournament, we're going to be in position short term to get competition to get an NCAA team trophy at the national championships, because that's just how good the other teams in the conference are, namely Virginia Tech. And so if we've overtaken them before, we want to do that again, and in doing so, we're going to be in a position, if we can pull that off, to be amazing at the national championship. So the expectations are high, the goals are high. I left them with a pretty hardcore challenge on Monday that, this is what Jack Mueller came here for. This is why Cam Coy and Brian Courtney and all these other studs, this is why they're coming here, is because we want a short term, we want to break through the top of 10 again, very short term, contending for an NCAA team trophy down the road, and then ultimately a national championship. And so we have to keep building, we have to get better, and we have to make sure that everybody's goals stay that high and that we're not ever going to be okay with what happened this weekend. That's the hard truth of it, and that's the good and the bad of it. So moving into the individual breakdowns. Right off the bat, Jack Mueller has been ranked either 7th or 8th the entire season. He wrestled a very, very tough Faust from NC State. It was an ACC runner-up in a close match to Joey Dance last year. He had been wrestling 133 for most of the season, then dropped to 25. He's a huge 25-pounder, and they wrestled, and it was absolutely crazy match. I think Jack tactically just made some mistakes. In the first period he had a beautiful takedown, and he was always looking to score points. So he jumped to a cradle, got sloppy on the cradle, got reversed, just kind of made some mistakes. Didn't finish a single leg that he usually gets. That's 2 points there. We wish we had back. And crazy scramble in the third period broke the match open. It was 5-5 late in the third with about 59 seconds left. Jack came up on a scramble, which we thought was 2 for him. Would have been made it. That makes it 7-5 with less than a minute to go in the match. The referee instead called it 2-2, which made it 7-7. We challenged the call because we felt like it wasn't 2. It was a scramble that we came up on top, so it's 2 for us, 0 for the opponent. Obviously, we're biased, but that's what we saw, so we challenged it. The official, after long deliberation, came back and said, well, it wasn't a takedown. You're correct on that. But the way the NCAA rule works is once the takedown is ruled no takedown, nothing happens. It's dead time. So what the NCAA Rules Committee considers dead time, nothing happens. So instead of it being 2-0 us, for the takedown, it's no points, nobody got anything, even though our guy ended up on top with a leg in and they went out of bounds. So it's like they basically erase time. They basically say, no, what happened doesn't count. We threw a smoke bomb down, we say complete do-over. Now it's 5-5, we're back on our feet. That's sort of hard to take, I think everybody was confused. I think his family was confused. I think the stands were confused. I think the opposing coaches might have even been confused. I don't think anybody truly grasped what was going on in the moment. You had to really take a step back. And as coaches, we felt really bad for our athlete because we felt like we were doing the right thing, fighting for our guy, and trying to get the takedown, which we again ended up on top with a takedown. It considered a reversal to start, and we thought that the right thing was going to get done and end up hurting our guy. So. At 5-5 now, but that being said, our guy still had a chance to win the match. It's 5-5, and there's less than a minute to go, and he wasn't offensive enough. The NC State wrestler shot instead of our guy Jack just uncharacteristically sort of made a couple mistakes. He had a front headlock and he had his leg back. Instead of just going basic baseline defense, he kind of got his leg back up in there. The NC State wrestler is very long. He's got a very long, skinny body type. He reached out, grabbed the leg, pulled it in. Jack jumps to a scramble, ends up on his back. So the score was not even close to being a teller of how close that match was. It was a 5-5 match with 40 seconds left, and it ended up being looking like a blowout because Jack got hit with a 6-point move off a scramble in the end. Total credit to the NC State wrestler and the NC State staff. Wrestled a really smart match. He did a great job. He's a really, really tough kid. He ended up losing in overtime to Joey Dance, who's the number 2 guy in the country in the final. So, he's absolutely no slouch. I'm sure he'll be seated high at the national championship. Moving forward, Jack absolutely is going to learn a ton from it. He's a freshman, and he's part of this maturation and learning process is going through setbacks like this. And so I was so proud of him. He came back through, won his next 2 matches, actually got a tech fall for 3rd and 4th. So he not only punched his ticket to nationals with a stamp and some authority, he actually got huge team points for our team that was trying to climb up the ranks, as I mentioned. So really proud of the way Jack recovered. And what I'm looking forward to seeing this week is how he continues to learn, how he continues to grow from this. Because I say it all the time, but studs, a lot of time, young men, we don't learn unless we're humbled. We don't learn unless we're sort of digging out of something. And I think when you were a little bit in the pit, when you had a setback, when you're facing a trial, when you're facing something that you consider that is not the result you wanted and you don't reach a goal, what happens is your sight gets even more keen. You start really locking in and wanting to learn. Your hearing opens up. Your heart opens up to understand. All of a sudden, your mind's ready to learn. You're much more precise in the way you're going to go about things. And he's always been an amazing worker, and he's done a fantastic job for us the entire year. He's been incredible. But I think it's going to get even better. And that's a scary thought for the rest of the country. I think it's going to get even next level this week and going into nationals. And so really excited to see what he's going to do at the national tournament. I think he's incredibly special. I think he can beat anybody on the mat with him. And so we'll see that. Next week he's going to get a chance to show that. And hopefully he's going to have a lot of fun doing it. That's the other thing. We want him to enjoy this process, and And so that's something that we want to see as well. 133, Will Mason. What an incredible story Will Mason has been the entire season. He's such a great kid. Gosh, I talked to my staff about how Will has made such a mental turnaround in the sport. And Coach Lean has been saying this to our team as what an example he's been as a leader of the team. One of the leaders of the team is this. He's wrestling for a bigger goal than just the win. His goal when he goes out there is to score points, put on a show, and have a ball doing it. He's smiling when he goes out there. He's smacking high fives with his coaches, and his only concern is going as absolutely as hard as he possibly can. That's a mental thing because there's a fear there. Most wrestlers, you don't want to go past a certain point because that fatigue hurts. If you try that hard, if you wrestle that hard, typically you're going to be exhausted. And when I can say this with all humility, when he first got here, he wasn't like that. He's made himself that way, and he's learned how to do that. And so it's incredible. It's one of the hardest things in our sport to do, and he's been able to do it. So he lost a heartbreaker in the semis to a guy he had beaten during the year, and that would have punched his ticket to nationals. He had to come back through and wrestle back, knowing that he had his best bet was an at-large bid. He beats the Duke kid in a close match, and then for third and fourth, he had a shootout with a Virginia Tech wrestler who's a total stud, Dennis Gustafson, and lost that match and didn't end up getting an at-large bid. If there's anybody your heart breaks for in this program at this point in time, it's Will Mason. To see him run off that mat and how much it meant to him and how much he wanted it, no coach likes to see their athlete like that. It was hard to watch, but also I will say that what's Will? What's his character? The next day, we're in practice Monday. He's at practice just like, oh, here we go, training, let's go. And so that just again shows you what type of kid he is. He tears his hamstring in a match this year, and he gets up after he gets done screaming. He goes, well, nothing I can do about it now. Gets up and finishes the match. I mean, again, that's something that came over time with him, and we're really proud of to see that development in him as a competitor, as a warrior, as his career is going on. 141, George DiCamillo continues to amaze us. I mean, in the semifinals, he had the number 7th ranked guy in the country, Joey Ward, returning All-American, and he beat him 11 or 12 to nothing. He major decisioned him. He just absolutely went berserk and just kept pouring on points and looking to score from everywhere. Again, I talk about what you want to see is your guys in a better place than they were at the start of the season. I truly believe if you watch George in the All-Star match first weekend of the year and watch him now, it's two completely different people. I just think he's way better wrestler. His body's different. His mind's different. His technique's better. He's just in a great place. He ended up losing in the finals to who I think is one of the most impressive guys at any weight in the country, in Kevin Jack. He's just a really good wrestler. And Jack kept catching us with a low double, and George figured it out a little bit towards the end, and the second and third period were the much better periods for him, and he really wrestled hard, especially in the third. We thought his motor got running even more as the match went on, but again, Jack is a very, very tough competitor, returning All-American as well. So George lost his bid for trying to get his 4th ACC championship, which would have been the first in program history. So that was a downer, but at the same time, you're just, whenever you see George compete, win or lose, he comes off the mat. You can't do anything but smile because that's good wrestling. I mean, that's just something that everybody wants to see. That's a guy you want to watch. Sam Krivas, I referred to him earlier, but Sammy got a bid for the national tournament by taking 3rd. He just looked amazing. It's the best he's looked all season. It's the guy we recruited. I mean, he was one of the top kids in the country coming out of high school. He had amazing skills, and I know he's only a redshirt freshman, so it's going to sound a little ridiculous what I'm saying, but we've been waiting for this because we expected it earlier, and so Sammy's been getting better each week, physically and also technically and mentally. He's just been sort of growing bit by bit, but we just didn't see that breakthrough performance. And here comes ACCs, and right off the bat, he blows the guy out of the water first round. And then in the semis, he almost knocks off the number 6 ranked guy in the country, returning All-American. He gets taken down late in the third. It was a 1-1 match with less than 30 seconds left, and he gave up a takedown. And he had a single leg in the air in the second period. He almost got. I mean, so he was right there with that guy. And then he goes off and he almost tech falls the Duke kid. And then he comes back for third and fourth and knocks off Sam Spino from NC State, who was ranked, I believe, 18th in the country. Sam Spino is a multiple national qualifier. He's a very tough competitor, and he actually dominated us in the dual meet just a month ago. So a month later, we got dominated in the duel, and a month later we come out and beat him in a very solid performance by Sammy. So he was one of the stories of the tournament for us, and I think it was just really cool to see how happy he was when he realized he was going to nationals, and to see the smile on his parents' faces, to hug him in the stands. It was neat. That was a neat feeling. That's one of the cool moments as the coach, one of those small glimmers of real joy you get in a pretty crazy grind of a season. 157, Andrew Atkinson, again, looked the best he's looked in the last month. if anybody's been noticing Andrew, he's been sick, he's been hurt, he's had a lot of things he's been dealing with different ailments, and he just hasn't looked like himself the last 2 months, really. And so to see him come out, first round, he wrestles a national qualifier from Duke, Faust, who's a very tough kid, and got the major decision win. I believe he majored him. I know it was a dominant performance. It might not have been exactly a major, but it was he just looked awesome. Next round, he loses in the semis, and wasn't an awesome match there, but then he comes back and got a technical fall to put him in for third and fourth. And he got an injury default for third and fourth, so he ended up taking third. And again, qualifying for the national championship and wrestling back for the team. And again, looking like the old Andrew. So we're excited about what he can do at nationals there. He won't be seeded, but he'll be, he's been ranked as high as 10th in the country. There's not a guy out there that he can't wrestle with. 165, again, Ray Bethea. Won first round against a Virginia Tech competitor. He ends up going to the semis, losing in the semis to the eventual champ, comes back, wins 2 matches, 2 hard-fought matches in a row to come back and take third, avenging a loss. Again, getting better as the season went on. He avenged the loss to the Chapel Hill guy who he got killed by in the dual meet. He comes and beats him for third and fourth. So, again, it's just another example of Ray Bethea came in as a transfer here. Wrestled, and he was such a team player. He wrestled up at 74 for us and won. He wrestled at 65. He was all over, wrestling opens on his own, doing all these things he can to get better, and he ends up, being our entrant for the ACC tournament and just, again, wrestled fantastic. I don't know how many team points he got for us, but 3 wins, that's a lot in that little span of a tournament. So he missed a bid for the national tournament, we found out yesterday, and so he's heartbroken. I mean, he knows his career's over, but we're so blessed and so grateful that Ray was a part of our program this year. He knows how we feel about him, and I'm sure he feels the same way about us. It was just such a cool thing that we got brought together and how this season went down. For me, I know he's enriched me personally, and as a program, we just love him as a person. I'm not going to talk any more about his wrestling, but as a person, he's just soft to the earth kid, and I'm hoping I can help continue to mentor him as his life goes on. 174, we had a crazy situation. Now I guess we can talk about it a little bit. Garrett Peppelman had to get pulled from the ACC championship a week before the championship with a serious injury. I can't get into the details for his privacy other than to say that it was a serious injury, and doctors didn't deem him fit to compete. And so it's hard. It was really hard on him. It was really hard on us. And at the last hour, Tyler Askey steps in there, cuts down to 74. He'd been wrestling 84 the whole second half of the season. Jumps in, goes to the National Collegiate Open, takes second, gets 4 wins, and then comes into the ACC tournament with half a season's body of work really at the weight and wrestled his heart out. I mean, he lost 2 matches, but he competed his face off, and we were really proud of the way he competed. He went out and first round he kept getting hit with the same shrug over and over again. He just didn't adjust, but man, was his fight there. And then he comes back and he's wrestling the 17th ranked guy in the country from Duke, who ultimately ended up taking third. And he's beating him 3-0 with a minute and a half of riding time late in the match. He ends up getting escape, takedown, and turn. So he went from winning 3-0 late in the match to all of a sudden being down big. And I think the kid scored 9 points in a matter of 30 seconds. He just had a mental shutdown there for a second and got caught, and that was the match. And so, our heart breaks for him too, because he's a senior and he's a guy that he took third last year at the ACC tournament at 174, so he's absolutely capable. The year before he took fourth at 184. So he's been a starter for us for 3 years and been up and down the lineup. So 184, Will Shaney again was another big story of the tournament. Will has been getting progressively better. I would argue him. He's probably the most improved wrestler on the team from November till now. Coach Ellis, I got to give him a lion's share of the credit. He's really been focusing in and locking in on Shaney, doing individuals with him and trying to get him to a certain point. And much like I mentioned, Will Mason breaking through mentally, this kid's broken through physically. I mean, Will Shaney has found a way to, again, one of the hardest things in our sport to do, to push himself to complete exhaustion and then do more. He shoots so much and tries so hard that it's almost physically impossible to go harder than how he competes. I mean, in the semis, what happened was it was 6-5 with the number 10 guy in the country, the 1 seed in the tournament. First of all, first round he avenges a loss he had. Again, 3 weeks ago he loses to the Pitt kid. Week later he beats him handily. Right? That's improvement. One improvement. Then he goes to the semis and it's 6-5 war with the number 1 seed, and he's shooting and he's flailing and his face is blue. He dives in on a shot, he gets his arm caught off, gets thrown to his back and pinned. It's like, but he was going so hard, it was awesome. You can't go any harder than when he was going. Comes back, wins 2 matches, takes third, beats the kid from Duke who had dominated our other guy during the dual meet during the year. So again, probably an upset there, and it was just awesome to see it. So we really thought he had a great shot at getting a wild card, getting an at-large bid. It hurt yesterday when we found out he didn't. Two of the kids that are in the tournament that got bids, he beat head-to-head. So there's a more complete formula than that, but that's one of the criteria. So we thought he had a great shot, and but I think Will is now realizing how good he can be. He's got a lot of work to do still, but I think he knows that he can because he's broken through that point of physicality of fatigue. He knows that he can be something pretty special. So 197, Chance McClure, even though he only took fourth, which may not seem sexy in the results, it's the best he's wrestled all year. He absolutely competed like a champ. He went out and beat the Pitt wrestler first round, lost in the semis to the eventual champ. Comes back and, gosh, he beat the Duke kid first, and then for third and fourth he wrestled the kid from NC State. And it was a much better match. He got dominated by that kid in the duel. It was a much more closer, more competitive match. It was 1-0 late in the third period, and he gave up a takedown to lose. But he just competed. And a lot of people don't realize this, but he was severely injured as well, and I won't say what, but he was wrestling through a lot of pain and just very proud of his toughness and what he was able to do out there, not complaining once about the injury. Heavyweight, this is another great story of the tournament. So Tyler goes 0-3 at the tournament and misses a chance to go to nationals, but yet won over everybody with the way he competed. This kid, just the one match I'll highlight, it was the UNC Chapel Hill match. Got dominated by the kid in the duel, and he comes out in this match, and it is a war. He picks him up, spikes him, has him in a Turk, flat drops him out of bounds, almost gets the call. We challenge it, he doesn't get it. Just wrestled his heart out. And again, looked like a completely different guy than we've seen all year. It's the best he's wrestled all season by far. It was just, what we told him afterwards was what a thing to build on for next year. So I'll stop there and just say, obviously, there's a lot of positives, and especially when you break down the individuals and what we're able to do and listen to the way the tournament went down. Make no mistake, this national championship is going to be really exciting. We got 4 guys, Jack Mueller, George D. Camillo, Sam Krivas, and Andrew Atkinson. So 25, 41, 49, 57. These guys have been there. They're battle tested. They've wrestled some of the best guys in the country the entire season. I think it could be one of the most amazing, awesome things to watch at this tournament for the Virginia wrestling program, the history of our program, just because of the type of talent, level of skill we have there. But we got to do it. We got to go out there and fuel off the lights, build off the lights, use the energy of the crowd, and not be intimidated by it, but actually feed off of that and go out and wrestle to a level of our what we're capable of, to the level of the God-given abilities that these guys have been given. I think we could do some really cool things. It's going to be exciting. Please buy your tickets if you haven't already. We still have tons of tickets available. Just contact the UVA ticket office. That's our lights there. That's the automatic. I talked that long that the lights went off. All right, I don't usually do this, but go Hoos, man.